This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Huge win yesterday in Cleveland for the Yankees. Carlos Rodón shoved. Luke Weaver closed it out with 3 fly balls to the wall. Aaron Judge is hitting 400. It's nice to do a pod talking about a big win, but oh wait, the whole series actually sucked. It was terrible. It's probably the worst series they've played this year. Probably, definitely. You can take your pick. You can take the Giants series if you want. I'll take this one because all their flaws, weird, middle innings decisions, inability to get the ball to the better bullpen members. The 13 games in 13 days started to catch up with them. The guys who've been bad on offense for 3 weeks now and nobody wanted to talk about it were like deleteriously terrible on offense in this series. So great to not get swept. Never get swept. The longer you can keep that streak going, the better. But as we head into an off night tonight, the NFL draft and also the Knicks in the playoffs. So not an off night for the New York sports torture watchers, but an off night for the New York Yankees. We will talk about the series that was and delve into the parts that we did not like so much, but give credit to those who come out looking like winners. Because, yeah, it wasn't, so bad in the end, all things considered. We got some positive takeaways, mostly from the third game, but we got some positive takeaways. 2 o'clock Eastern, most Mondays and Thursdays on all podcast platforms in the aftermath, the Yanks Go Yard podcast. That's where you find us. Today, 2:30 Eastern. Thanks for sticking with us. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. Welcome back to America. Again, you were here Monday. We were doing a little bit of a victory lap at the Sunday against the Rays, and this team so far built different. And I guess, yeah, a little bit because they didn't fold on Wednesday when they could have, the day game after 2 shit night games. But they played some really familiar bad games in a row to welcome you home.
Perfect. What else would I come back to? Look, I'm not complaining, but it was I watched all 27 innings of the last 3 games combined, and it's like I said, I'd rather be watching from afar. Makes you feel a lot better. You don't get to see some of these bad at bats, some of these weird decisions. I got another bullpen meltdown to watch this year. So, not. Do I have any negative conclusions to draw? No. It's you look at this lineup though, and it's like boom or bust. You got 4 guys tearing the cover off the ball, and everybody else is like, "What are you doing?" And then they contribute obviously in between, but for so many years this team has been that it's boom or bust. It's even when they had the good offenses in 2018 and 2019, it was still like everybody tearing it up for 2 weeks and then everything kind of silent for 3 weeks. What's happening? And this is probably not abnormal for the first month of the season, but it is indicative of everything that kind of went wrong last year and especially the year before. But more so, I do like focusing on the positives from yesterday's game because I thought that was a really strong way to close out the series and go into the off day. But man, that Clark Schmidt performance, I know he's working his way back to full strength, but kind of more of the same from him in terms of what he's able to bring to the table. Again, against the middling offense. Like, I know he faced the Royals and was okay, but the Royals right now have one of the worst offenses in the league, and the Guardians are like smack dab right in the middle. And then you ruin Will Warren. Like, Will Warren, man, had been struggling all year, has 5 shutout innings, and he gets thrown out. I didn't disagree with bringing him out for the 6th, but might disagree bringing Mark Leiter Jr. in there. I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm still trying to familiarize myself with this bullpen and figure out what the correct move is. But I know Schmidt going out early the night before definitely limited what maybe Aaron Boone thought he could do. I guess we'll start in this first game with Clark. The Yankees made a comeback. You thought they threatened in the 7th and the 8th innings. They came up empty in the 9th and lost 6-4. The offense was there. 10 hits and 3 walks. Like, I'll take that on any given night. But again, like, you face a guy on the opposing end in Gavin Williams, and he's solid but unspectacular. And then you follow it up the next day Tanner Bybee, 5+ ERA. And it's like, you got to cash in these opportunities. What stood out to me the most in these first 2 games, or really all 3 of the games, was you had opportunities early and you didn't you didn't apply the pressure. There's no, again, like, what was it yesterday in the first inning? They score, score the 2 runs. They have runners on second and third with no outs, and then 3 straight strikeouts. What? How?
Yeah, you win the game, so it's forgotten. But that's the worst first inning of all of them was the game that they won. Judge triples off the top of the wall. Goldschmidt, who's second in the American League in average, all he does is hits a huge booming double after Belly walks. Second and third, nobody out, 2 runs already in, and you've cleared Bellinger, who's been the problem at the top of the lineup. And then you have 3 chances for something productive. If they get out of that inning with only 3 runs scored, then I'm still kind of disappointed. I'm like, man, we let him off the hook a little bit. But you have 3 chances, and once you fail at the first 2, then you need a hit from the third guy. But all you need is a dribbler to the right side for an all-star in Jazz Chisholm and a guy who was getting lauded for great situational hitting early in the season, 2 weeks ago, in Anthony Volpe. You just need a dribbler to the right side. You might even beat it out. Both those guys are fast. Dribbler to the left side. I mean, it's a single. It's an infield hit. No contact. And, of course, then the third out is made. KKK. Don't like saying that. I actually want to undo the fact that I just said that. But it was 3 strikeouts in a row. And, yeah, it was disgusting and grotesque effort. And then in the bottom of the inning, you have Carlos Rodón get a Bellinger error behind him. Run scores on, would have scored anyway in a single, sends Jose Ramirez all the way to third. And what do we know about Carlos Rodón, especially this season, that he is combustible when there are errors behind him? And there's an error. It moves a runner over, not just in a scoring position, but on the precipice of scoring. But somehow he wiggles out of it with some hard hit balls. So it's not strikeout, but get a little bit of puck luck there, right? The balls go to the fielders. And from that point forward, Rodón was absolutely nails, and the Yankees put up 2 more runs in the second, and we can all forget about it. And they put it home, and there were never any threats or rallies really moving forward in that one from Cleveland. Because, like you said, my favorite thing whenever the Yankees play Cleveland or lose to Cleveland, or Cleveland has one of those rallies like they did against Warren and Leiter in the 6th, where it's like dinks and dunks and bunts and grounders that find holes. Somebody inevitably is like, and yet the Yankees just continue to strike out. And it's like, I hear you. I get it. And there are I would love Stephen Kwan on the Yankees. I would love to pick and choose. I would love a hybrid, maybe tone down the strikeouts a little bit, tone up the baseball IQ. Sure. But who won the series in 5 games last year when it came time to determine an American League champion? Like, I don't want to hear you yearning just for the Guardians offense, only for them to switch places and the Yankees to give up 4 home runs in every playoff game and lose the ALCS. Then you're going to be singing a different tune. So meeting in the middle, great. But every time the Yankees lose on a rally like that to Cleveland, which has been less and less frequent lately because we've tended to beat this team, except for this series, inevitably people come out of the woodwork and start yearning for 1972 baseball, when in reality, we just dominated this team in a playoff series. Yeah. And Giancarlo Stanton reminded everybody, here he is. He's taking BP in Cleveland again. So, look, I'm not going to call the Yankees' early season schedule the Cubs, who have already faced the Dodgers twice, and the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and they're in first place despite all of these impediments. But the Yankees did get sent to freezing cold Detroit, where they made every game a day game because it was illegally cold out. And they got sent to Cleveland in April and had to play 2 night games and a day game. So that's not easy. You get out of that 2-4 pretty bad. Salvage the last one, good. But, the offense and the middle relief, and, especially just Chisholm and Bellinger and Volpe above all of those people, because I can't take the fluctuations, and I don't like – there was some conversation this week about it's maybe time to have an uncomfortable conversation. It was time to have an uncomfortable conversation last summer. Like the hot streaks are great, but 90 middle, we can't hit these days. And he's still diving away on the breakers.
On competitive swings. John Boy made a good point. I listened to Talking Yanks this morning because I'm still refreshing myself, but he's like, the everyone goes soft with Volpe. Like, the Yankees anointed him. The Yankees are soft with him. Fans have softened the conversation around him because of, I guess, what he's projected to be or what the team thinks he can be. And the reality is that this conversation started his rookie season because we saw him essentially fall. He fell off a cliff at the end, but there were peaks and valleys with his performance, and the valleys were really bad and the peaks were like, oh, this is pretty good. So they never really canceled each other out or normalized. It was the bad very much overshadowed the good. Then last year was essentially an exact replication of what he did the year before. He just improved a little bit upon his average, but the mechanical stuff was still there. The inability to hit fastballs at a desirable rate was there. The chasing was there. So the fact that, again, we're a month into the season, it's not sound the alarm bells, but something. What is he batting now after that? So he's
in the
back,
100s.
Yeah, he's back below 200. He struck out. He's batting 198. He struck out 4 times yesterday. He had a chance to redeem himself on Tuesday night after that defensive play, which I think was tough, but still, I think you took a bad angle on that, and it either could have been caught or it could have been fielded cleanly, and the result was a poor angle, not fielded cleanly, could have ended the inning, run scores, that's the lead, and the Yankees lose.
If it happened behind Max Fried, it would have been called a double, though. So,
but my early conclusions from watching, this is now my 7th full Yankees game I've watched this year, or 8th, I'm sorry. Stop hitting Austin Wells in the leadoff spot. He did in the opener. Like, I know Ben Rice was still on the shelf from the hit by pitch, but there's no need to force this anymore. Austin, they did this last year with him in the cleanup spot. They're putting him in high premium, or they're putting him in premium spots in the batting order, and it's not working. Just stop doing it. Like, he's struggling and he's maybe not ready. I don't know what the solution is, but you have other experienced hitters that you can move around. Anthony Volpe can't be under any circumstance, in my opinion, batting 5th or 6th. 7, 8, 9. That's where he belongs. He probably belongs in the 9 hole.
That's the one I can't get over. Like,
yeah.
what is the justification for that right now? I know that they're winning without their full complement of players. I am not going to rage at the New York Yankees for being 15-10 without Stanton, Heel, mostly Schmidt, Garrett Cole forever. Like, there are a lot of reasons to be thankful for what they've done, and they've played a lot of good baseball.
Yeah.
And they still have similar questions to answer from opening day to present, and that's what the whole season's for. Like, I'm not angry at them. I'm not angry at Anthony Volpe either. I don't understand why he is getting premium position in the lineup when he will come out of this eventually. He's going to have a 2-week stretch again where he looks like the player we envisioned him to be. But right now, he is as bad as he's ever been. There is no reason for him to be hitting where he's hitting.
I agree. And this is a conversation we've had, however, when they were batting him leadoff and it was just not working. It's like, why are we doing this? There's no reason to do this again. He's still young. Not giving up on Anthony Volpe, but I think for the most part, we know what we got. So let's at least try to build upon that without the pressure being heaped upon him. Not mad at anybody, actually. I know baseball's hard, but we're now seeing this for the 3rd year in a row. The Yankees love just living in repeating history, and it's frustrating. And now the fact that you have this young group of players, which you really haven't had in a long time. The Yankees I can't remember the last time they had this many young players up at once who are going to make up the core of this team for the next 3 to 6 years. So you can't blow it with them. And if Anthony Volpe is only going to be an average offensive player, then that needs to be harnessed. He cannot continue to be 80 OPS plus. He needs to be in the high 90s, whatever it is.
And I do need to see, like, if he's going to be an average offensive player and we can't figure out how to split the difference between power and contact or whatever, I'm going to need to see him go with the ball through the hole a couple of times, like 2nd and 3rd in that situation where we're striking out at middle pitches. Like, if you're seeing that, if you're seeing no contact, we're somehow compromising contact entirely, I just need to see a reset. I need to see him move down in the order. I don't need days off. I don't need weeks off. I just need a reset. And I understand that that's a little bit counterintuitive, talking about, swapping the Guardians offense for the Yankees offense and getting on those people and whatever. But I'm talking about a hybrid. Anthony Volpe, the best version of Anthony Volpe, hit like 30 homers in the minors. And I want that. Yeah. But if I can't have it, then I'll take 18, 19. But I want to know that with second and third and one out, Jazz Chisholm just struck out, and now the inning has changed a little bit, and now we're not thinking big inning anymore. We need to get that one run in, maybe two. We try to poke one through the right side for 2 runs. We can't get it. We get a ground ball to deep second base, run scores, and we're happy enough with the outcome. I just need to find – I think he is the perfect player to find that middle ground. He will attack fastballs in the zone. He will find homers. He will – the swings he was taking with the torpedo bat early to go to right on balls that got in on his hands were fantastic. I don't need 32 homers. I don't need 12 homers and 194 strikeouts. I need somewhere in the middle. I need him to change his approach based on the situation.
Yeah, and I need him to fucking steal. And I know that that's not his entire fault, but on Tuesday night, Yankees are up 1-0. His first, he is the only time he gets on base in the game. He walks in the second inning, and I think Dominguez was up, and he had like a 7 or 8 pitch at bat. Volpe didn't go anywhere, and then JC Escar. Like, why is he not stealing? What are we waiting for? And this is again another thing where it's like, why are you not maximizing the skills that you have? Anthony Volpe has speed. There is no reason to not steal him in any of those situations. And he only has 3 stolen bases on the year through 25 games, which is way off pace of what he's been able to produce in his first 2 seasons. So fucking steal, please, to the coaching staff, not to Anthony Volpe. And then lastly, Jason Dominguez, just bat lefty. The righty it's just, I don't know. To me, it's not working. At least in the few at bats that I've seen. I think he is batting, I had it up before. He's batting 103 versus left-handed pitchers as a right-handed batter with a 464 OPS. That's through 35 plate appearances. So I understand that's not the largest sample size, but when you're seeing, there were already not concerns, but there were already questions about his ability to hit right-handed as he was hitting the upper levels of the minor leagues. I don't know why they're not advising him to just hit lefty at this point, especially because we have lefties on this team who can hit lefty pitchers. So why not just try it out with him, and it might help his approach and his confidence. I don't know. But the fact that if we're seeing, it's almost split down the middle. He has 52 plate appearances as a lefty and 35 as a righty, and it's night and day. He's batting .313 lefty with an 865 OPS, and his right-handed numbers are bringing his aggregate down for the season in insane manner. So I don't know what you saw of him batting righty while I was gone, but those at-bats were tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, also hilariously, his signature moment so far this season was batting righty, clearing the bases.
Cleared the bases, yeah.
Yeah, and that swing was so funny. It was very Miguel Andujar. Like, it was very helicopter. And so was Agustin Ramirez. But I don't know if anybody's watching the Marlins since he got called up a couple of days ago. Started off 5 for 6, the guy we traded for Jazz in a small package. He's got that whip helicopter above his head, too, down the left field line. Very odd. Jazz, I'm a little bit less concerned about than Bellinger and Volpe, just because Volpe, we're at 2.5 years of just me sort of saying this is almost the same, if not identical, and there are peaks and valleys. But like you said, the peaks aren't quite high enough and the valleys are so low. I'd rather watch Bravo's The Valley than watch his valleys. And Bellinger was somebody who I didn't really want to trade for, and then convinced myself I was fine with it. And his lefty swing would play better in the Bronx than I was giving him credit for. And at least the defense would play. But so far it's not like they gave up much to get him. It's a 1-year commitment. And if he's bad, then he opts in, and it's a 2-year commitment. But so far it's playing out like the worst version of what I thought we might be getting there. Jazz, the power's been there. It's weird to see his average where it is. I certainly don't have a problem with him dodging a broken bat headed his way on Monday, which you want to get into the dumbest debates. Like, There are people on Twitter, and Twitter should be folded, but it's not. And I still have to go there for news and jokes and all that stuff. And I'd love to never go there again, but I can't. I have to still go there. And Jazz ducks out of the way of like a bat shard and all of Twitter. There are people on that app who just exist to troll the Yankees. That's what they do. They wake up, they go to sleep, they put Yankees trolls in their drafts for the morning. They look up Anthony Volpe's exit velocity. I'll schedule that one for 9 a.m. That'll be funny. I'll reply to Exxon Mobil with a picture of Anthony Volpe's exit velocity for no fucking reason. Like, that's just what I'm doing today. And all the trolls being like, oh my God, Jazz, what happened? Oh, Jazz. Guys, there's a bat shard coming at him. And he opened up after the game and said when he was in the minors, he got stabbed by a broken bat shard. So I have literally zero problem with him taking care of business there and getting away from the ball. Yankees lose that game big time, regardless. Little late fake comeback, led partially by Jazz Chisholm. So the power will play. The OPS is still where it needs to be. The average is not going to be 165 all year. No. It's not going to be. So order of operations, who I'm most concerned about, it's Volpe number one by far, also because he is a long-term solution and Bellinger is not.
Yeah.
And then Bellinger in the 2 spot because I'm getting pretty much what I bargained for. And also because you can live with one guy who's struggling and provides defensive value, but I'd rather not have 2. And then Jazz number 3, honestly, not that worried. I like the player. I know what the player is. It's April 24th, and it's the one of these 3 where I would say it's early, especially because of the 7 homers and the electricity elsewhere. He's definitely had value, but yeah, the average is bad. You can throw Austin Wells in here too.
He's in there for me.
Yeah. Go off and I don't know where you're.
No, it's just not. We for the players that are not performing, right? Like Anthony Volpe not performing. It's unfortunately nothing new. What we're trying to talk about now is we need to salvage what the potential ceiling is within the scope of reasonable expectations. So that's really it for Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger has had a roll of the dice any season he's been in MLB since 2020. So he's not the player he once was from whatever it was 2017 to 2019. So that's gone. So this performance so far doesn't necessarily shock me. And I also think that he's well beyond his those 1.5 bad years with the Dodgers. Like, he's not going to be batting 180 all year. We know that. Are you worried because he's in the top of the lineup and you're going to need that production? Absolutely. But at the very least, if you want to look at any silver lining, Cody Bellinger existing there is probably in some way helping Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt lead the AL and just about everything. So much less of a concern on that front because you know that Bellinger's presence is at least elevating those two reasonably. At least I think that's something that we can look at as a silver lining. Like, if this continues through May, yeah, this is a genuine concern because Bellinger was supposed to be an impact bat that was in the aggregate going to help replace the production lost by Juan Soto, and that's not happening right now. As for Jazz, am I worried about Jazz? No, but I don't expect much out of him. I thought he was incredibly overrated on the Marlins, solely because he was the one massively talented player there, and that was the only thing to watch in Miami. And now he comes to the Yankees, and you thought it would be a little bit better. And last year, I think we saw him perform well, and then it kind of, as the year went on, it diminished. It was like, in my opinion, it was kind of like Anthony Rizzo coming over in 2021. It was like you got that initial spark, and then like as the weeks went on, you were like, okay, this isn't going to be as impactful as either the front office thought it to be, or it's not going to be as impactful as the name of the acquisition might suggest. And again, I like Jazz. I think he's a good player. I just think that in the broader discussion of MLB talents, he's a little bit overrated, and when he goes into slumps, it's fairly discouraging. It's the swinging with your head completely out of, like, not even looking at the ball, the helmet, the helmet nearly falling off the head, the swing being like he twirls around like it's like a cartoon almost, and he's not seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hands, right? Like, there was one of the strikeouts that he had where whatever, I forgot who was pitching, but from the second it left the pitcher's hand, it was going to be low and away. Like there was no debate on where the ball was going, especially because I think that relief pitcher, that was the signature pitch. And Jazz just already had it in his mind that he was swinging, wasn't even close, ended up in a strikeout. So it's like when those types of at-bats are occurring where it's beyond non-competitive and you can almost like the hitters telegraphing what they're going to swing at and what the approach is going to be, that's where I get discouraged. And what worries me about his numbers is that the home runs might distract from what the actual issue is, which is, again, working counts, providing the competitive nature, situational hitting, like, putting the ball in play when you need to put the ball in play and whatnot. So he does have the power on his side in the early going. But I think the quality greatly needs to improve. And I don't like how this is happening with him in the early going, just because you don't want to establish bad habits early on. And again, I like Jazz. I think he's an asset to the team, but you look at the career numbers and there's really not that much evidence to suggest that he's going to blow the doors off. Like you have his 2022 All-Star campaign. He only played in 60 games that year. Last year, again, was good, but it was 107 OPS plus. And then outside of that, you either have abbreviated injury-shortened campaigns or just not that impressive of a body of work. So, again, another player where we kind of know what the ceiling is. And I think there are fair and reasonable expectations for what he needs to bring. But, needs to get on base. When he's on base, needs to steal. This is a supplementary talent in this lineup who, in theory, should be benefiting from the better hitters around him. And I'm just not sure that's entirely happened yet. Again, outside of the power, I know the power is there, but some of those home runs have come in meaningless moments, which is, again, a symptom of Yankees baseball. When you look at the end of the year, the team led the league in home runs and OPS. That's great. And it's like, yeah, but there were, 15 wins where they won by 8 runs, and a lot of the runs were extra garbage that didn't matter, and that stat padded a lot. So I'm not saying that's going to dictate what this season is, but Jazz is a veteran, and I understand the quality might lack with players such as Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells due to the lack of experience. But I think that I'd rather see a quicker turnaround with Jazz because he'll be more important to the short term of it all.
Yeah, and he did the vast majority of his damage in Series 1 against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yep.
So, it's just true. You can – I'm not here to excuse the home run or say the home runs make up for the other stuff. It's almost more damning because of how much of the offensive production and the power came in one 3-game series to start the year. And he had a good series against the Diamondbacks, too. And now we're waiting for it to return.
Yeah, it's 20 games later. So
yeah, maybe someday. But hey, also the Will Warren discussion worth talking about briefly. Getting into the 6th inning and how you feel about pulling him there, and whether it's pulling him in general or pulling him for lighter. I will say Ryan Garcia noted, and you could tell the main difference between bad Warren and the best stuff in spring training. When he was early in spring training, the fastball velocity was crisp. Late in spring training, it lagged, especially when he got killed in Miami in that last tune-up, which made me wonder, okay, is this guy even healthy? Why are we pushing this guy?
Yeah.
We need a rotation, so we can't get rid of anybody who's willing to fill it. But he didn't look like himself, and he starts the year around 92. And I was wondering if I was crazy. His last 3 starts, Ryan Garcia noted his velo has gone up, average velocity from 92.1 to 93.4. And those last 3 starts, pretty good. The one against the Rays was absolutely dreadful. But other than that, the 2 sandwiched around it were just fine. And then he gets into the 6th inning, shutting down the Guardians. Jazz comes through with a timely piece of, not a hit, but a sac fly, and we're up 2-0. I have no issue bringing him back out, but I do think that this whole scenario is thrown off by the lack of an off day in between all 13 of these games. Because if the Yankees have a rested bullpen, and partially this is Will Warren's fault, because against Tampa in his last start, the bullpen had to bail him out for 8 innings, essentially. And they won that game. Good job by everybody involved. But as if they weren't already tired and as if Devin Williams struggling wasn't already a glaring issue, it got worse because of that outing and because of the 13 games in 13 days. So if I'm Aaron Boone, I am not pulling Will Warren then either. I am not trying to make him leave on a high note. I am trying to squeeze all that I possibly can out of him, especially while he is cruising. And I maintain that I think it would be much worse and he would have been lambasted more online if he pulled a red-hot Warren after 80 pitches and 5 shutout, and then Mark Leiter Jr. came in and sloppy staked it up, and they lost anyway. I think the right move and the safe move is letting him put base runners on and hoping the bullpen can bail him out.
Yeah.
And hoping for the best, obviously, that he just goes through a clean 6th, and then you can go to the pen. But curious your take on that, because obviously it's somewhat controversial, and it's more controversial because they gagged the game right away. And otherwise, no one would have mentioned it ever again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know the reason they gagged the game. I'll get to that in a second. Well, I mean, nobody should be pulled. He was at 77 pitches through 5. You don't pull that person. I know he's facing the top of the order, and it's 3rd time through, but you got to give the kid a chance. There's no, again, the worst thing that happens is either he gives up a leadoff homer, or he puts the guy on and gives up a homer, or he puts 2 guys on and he gets pulled. Then that's what you live with, and that's the reality of the situation. But with the no days off, you have to utilize your starting pitching to the best of your ability. And if somebody is averaging 12 to 13 pitches an inning, you have to put them out for the next inning and see what happens. The problem here was the selection of who to bring in after Will Warren had put the runners on. Mark Leiter Jr. cannot pitch with runners on. Historically, throughout his career, cannot do it. With men on, he allows a 254 opponent's batting average and a 792 OPS. That's bad for a reliever. It's objectively bad. So if that's, again, and I don't know Booney's bullpen habits in the early going because I haven't been able to fully dissect all of them since I've been gone. But at this rate, we know what Mark Leiter Jr. has been able to offer since the trade deadline. I think there needs to be some sort of caution when deploying him. And I think the worst possible spot for him is to clean up an outing from a struggling rookie when he cannot perform even with runners in scoring position. He has a 265 opponent's average against and a 796 OPS. So he came in already at a disadvantage. Again, very much a symptom of none of the off days. Might have been limited in in who he could have went to in the bullpen. And the night before, Clark Schmidt got bounced early, and he had to use Yoendrys Gomez for 3 innings. But to me, that's the problem. That it was the selection there, and if he's going to say, my hands are tied and there was nothing I could do, then okay, makes total sense. But someone's got to know the metrics there. If there's any other decision that could be made to preserve, having runners on first and second with nobody out, then great. And we thought he might have gotten out of it. We had 2 strike, or it was an 0-1 count or a 1-2 count on when he threw the wild pitch. Just so happened that the runners were stealing, so it was partially bad luck too. But yeah, I mean, it tailor-made not the situation to bring in Mark Leiter Jr., and that was the call.
It's funny because the group chat is always talking about how Mark Leiter has a clutch gene, and it kind of feels like he does because he was good at escape jobs during the playoffs, and right when he landed, sent right to Philadelphia. Yeah. He got out of some weird extra innings jams like his first day as a Yankee. So it's like he's either the clutchest pitcher I've ever seen in high leverage, or it's just slop. Like, what are we doing? Like, who's going to get fooled by this looping splitter with runners on the bags? And the stats bear it out that he's maybe not the guy to try to wriggle his way out of those situations. Obviously, the best case scenario for the Yankees is that eventually they're able to use Luke Weaver in those spots and use Fernando Cruz in those spots. And whichever one you don't use is the guy you go to with a clean 8th, and then you set up Devin Williams. But for now, Devin Williams is a big question mark crate, from playing Mario Kart. So I think Like they have planned it out so that they have a couple of firemen, a Cruz or a Weaver, and then they have a defined closer. But right now they don't have that closer, and they stayed away from him this whole Cincinnati series. He did warm up yesterday. So Devin Williams is alive. He's around, but that's 4 straight games where he hasn't appeared since he took aim. He nearly blew a 4-1 lead on opening day. He nearly blew a 4-0 lead in Detroit. He finally blew a 4-run lead on Saturday. It's the large ones that are giving him trouble, which is a real bummer because those are the games that you should finish. But until he's sort of safe and secure, they can't go with that preferred bullpen formula and official terminology and give anyone the closer role. So we see Weaver get the job yesterday. And we see Leiter come in earlier than he probably should. Although positives from the series, Tim Hill was incredible. Tim Hill probably should have come in earlier. And every time I see Tim Hill, I get pissed off all over again because he didn't come into game 1 of the World Series. Not Tim Hill's fault. I hope he never leaves. I hope he's here forever, dominating and doing exactly what he's doing now. But every time I see him, I'm like, man, 6 pitches. That was the easiest inning of my life. God damn it. Why did that happen in game 1 of the World Series, the most important game in 15 years?
Yeah, Tim Hill has looked great, and I guess he's 1 1/3 innings pitched, 8 pitches on Tuesday night. Too funny. That's like the most. Can you get any more efficient than that? 7 strikes too. 7 strikes out of the 8 pitches. Yeah, would be great. Would have been great if that was the guy you went to instead of Mark Leiter Jr. laboring 21 pitches and 13 strikes. Can I ask you a question? Because I don't know what's going on right now. Is JC Escarra any good? Because that one game that I watched, bad. Like
we haven't seen the best of him yet. I would say, I think there's talent there. I think it's supposed to be offense above defense, but the defense is still quality. He has never caught before last year. He was a first baseman in the Orioles system. Yankees brought him in, and he was a stud defensive catcher last year and also hit at the AAA level.
So this is just Yankees being fucking stupid.
I mean, so far and happy birthday to JC Escarra, by the way, if you hear
happy birthday
today. But yeah, limited duty, backup catcher is a tough gig. I saw him rope a double in person about a week ago. That was nice. But yeah, the offense has not been there and the defense has not quite been there either. So
yeah.
Carlos Narvaez looks good in Boston.
Yeah. Oh, well.
You ever thought about how many of Boston's best players are random former Yankees? Because I think about that a lot. Not all of them that we've given them either. Like, they've just – how did this happen? Narvaez, Greg Weiss are on, like, the lower end of things, and then Ref Snyder, and then Garrett Whitlock, and then Richard Fitz. Like, it's just like some of them we gave away. I don't think we've won a single trade with the Red Sox in the last decade, but – some of them just floated from the Yankees to another organization to another one, and then the Red Sox have saved them. Those like hurt more, actually. Those are bumming me out. Rob Refsnyder is like a folk hero. Why? Why not for me? I want that. Yeah,
it would have been great. Another quality outfielder. I don't know. It's weird. Could be the pressure. New York's a lot of pressure. I think it just comes down to that. And I know the Yankees are also bad at whatever the next echelon of developing players is, like we're watching it happen now with whatever's going on with Volpe and Austin Wells and Dominguez. I know Dominguez hasn't necessarily been bad, but again, they're not playing. They think they're playing into his strengths by depriving him of high leverage defensive innings and high leverage at bats. And it's indeed not helping. If we were to weigh in on it. And again, another frustrating thing, we didn't see Yorbit Vivas in this series.
Again.
Why? He's going to be sent back down.
He got sent back down yesterday.
He did? He got sent back down?
Yeah, Trent Grisham is back and good, and I'm glad. But, like, why? Again, another just a body being 6 games in the Major League level. He's still a ghost.
Yeah, and, like, I know Oswaldo Cabrera is playing well, but, like, maybe give Jazz a day off, batting 158, like, maybe he can get a breather, and then you can put Vivas or Cabrera at second, and whichever the other two you want to put at third, probably just put Vivas at second so you don't have to change too much. I don't know.
Jazz hates cold weather. Like, can we maybe take him out of the Cleveland April series once?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, more positives. I mean, I think at this point, if Shohei Ohtani is not returning to pitching,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge just has to be the best player in baseball.
Yep. And I'm done with the argument about Ohtani pitching too, because for a while it was like, well,
how long has it been now?
Summer 23, summer 22, but it was like, how could you possibly even compare the two? And that's just the most fun way to have a debate, because it's like, oh, you're right, never mind, let's never talk about this ever because one pitches and one hits. And I get it, completely unique, total unicorn. We saw it, we loved it, but it's been years. It's been years at this point. And Aaron Judge is the best right-handed hitter in baseball history at his peak.
Yeah. Ohtani's numbers were fucking good last year, though.
I mean, Shohei Ohtani is insane. Yeah. These are the two best players in baseball. But if one of them is not pitching, then they're close.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that Ohtani got him in was stolen bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stolen bases and runs scored. Judge had everything else. Because he led in everything else. So yeah, I mean, and you throw in his defense. And now that he's back in his native right field where he's comfortable and made a diving catch the other. I know he went for that one. What was that on Tuesday night and didn't get it, but that was Mark Leiter Jr. giving up hard contact and he was trying to save a run. But yeah, I mean, the way he went 4 for 4 in the losing effort and was literally outside of Ben Rice's leadoff home run that day was the only offensive threat and nobody else could do anything. So again, there's even more of a case stated for him as others struggle around him. So if Austin Wells is in the leadoff spot, that's not necessarily someone who's protecting Aaron Judge. If at least at this point, I do still think there's value again in Cody Bellinger being a talented player, but I think pitchers now can pick their spots and say, we're gonna pitch to Bellinger and we're maybe gonna try to pitch around Judge and Goldschmidt. Aaron Judge is still finding a way. Paul Goldschmidt is still finding a way. But again, what Aaron Judge is doing is, this is kind of the most, it feels effortless right now, I want to say. I don't know why it's different than any other year, or at least any other. I know last year he started slow, remember that shit? Last year he had a really bad April and we were worried he was injured. And then May through the end of the season, he did 10.8 WAR, 58 home runs, 140 something RBIs, whatever it was. Now this year it's like there's no issue at all. He's going up to the plate. He's swinging at the pitches that he wants. The strikeouts don't seem to be, because when he goes in those phases of like swinging over curveballs and like just striking out on 3 pitches, you're like, what's going on here? But this has been kind of the most effortless I've seen Judge to start a season, at least. I don't know. The fact that he's doing it without the Juan Soto protection in the lineup is absolutely incredible. So I don't really want to hear it anymore. It's Aaron Judge for me, and it's no longer biased. Like even last year's numbers, like again, Ohtani had the stolen bases. That's great, but every other major number was in Judge's favor. The Dodgers had a considerably better lineup. It was Aaron Judge and everybody making fun of the Yankees, right? Oh, it was just Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Great, like hilarious. You only have 2 good hitters, haha. And then they'll try to, oh well, Aaron Judge has all these good players around him, blah. But this year it's like, yeah, it's him and Paul Goldschmidt, and you have Ben Rice who's having a really good season. And Oswaldo Cabrera is performing well, but like that's not exactly, you're not on paper, that's not blowing anybody away, like the stats might when you look at the baseball reference page. You're like, oh shit, Paul Goldschmidt's batting 370. That's pretty cool. Oswaldo Cabrera almost hitting 300. Ben Rice, 8 home runs. That's awesome. But like no one's saying, oh yeah, give me this roster for a 7-game series in the playoffs. Nobody's doing that. So Aaron Judge, the guy, Carlos Rodón, last one should end positively. We talked about how important his last Thursday start was against the Rays. The 6 shutout innings. It was a 1-0 victory. And a lot of the concern with him this year has been, not this year, for the last 2 years has been either 1, injuries and the just overall consistency on the field, and 2, the implosions, whether it be in the first inning or whether it be at the first sign of trouble. Didn't matter when it was. It was just is some shit happening? Let's flip a coin. And more times than not, the coin would land on, yep, shit's going to happen and we're going to be in trouble. This one, like you mentioned before, first inning, the Yankees take a 2-0 lead. Then in the bottom half, Cody Bellinger makes that error. It was a single. Jose Ramirez ends up on third. I think there was one out, and it was 2-1 because the run scored. And then he didn't let Ramirez score from third with one out, and then he cruised through the next 5 innings. So I know, like, it wasn't an otherworldly performance. He went 7 innings and struck out 8. Like, it was a good outing.
Pretty great.
And it was impressive, but I think the larger point was that he didn't let that early inning mistake get to him, and he was able to be better for it. So I think if that's the mentality switch that he could make, again, his importance is never understated. It's just fans are just not gonna bank on it because they've seen too much in either direction over the last couple of years, and they know that they can't marry themselves to ace-like number 2 production. But, he rode with momentum after that race start, got it done yesterday, avoided the sweep, got the team relaxing going into a day off, only 2 bullpen innings out of that. So, I mean, what else can you ask for?
Yeah, still just 32 years old. Like, all the consternation about this contract, it's a 6-year deal, and it doesn't take him past his peak. So I am a fan. I am hoping for the best. I was sad and scared in 2023. I was like, let's just hold off on getting the Scherzer. Like, I love this guy, but, I just want to see. Let's make sure there are no major speed bumps. Then it's pretty much the worst shortened season for any starter you'll ever see. A 5.79 FIP. There's nothing to see here. It's all bad. And to start the year, he is still leading the majors in walks to start this season. And so you've had you've had a couple outings with a speed bump embedded. No blow-ups, no horrendous starts yet. The Detroit game, the bad strike call, and he falls apart. The Arizona game starts off bad, recovers, after opening day. San Francisco just can't pitch to Jung-Hoo Lee and starts hanging that curveball. But big bounce back last week against Tampa in the 1-0 game with the 9 Ks and 6 2-hit innings, but still 4 walks. Like, bad temperature, sweaty. You're not seeing the full package. You got it yesterday in Cleveland. 7 innings, 4 hits, just 2 walks and the 8 strikeouts in a less than ideal environment. And just like that, he's at 0.7 BWAR and a 3.50 ERA with a 1.056 WHIP. That shows you how impressive he's been in terms of limiting hard contact with all the walks. 18 walks, just 20 hits for Carlos Rodón. It's been home runs, 5, and blips. We knew he'd give up homers. He gave up 31 last year. So as long as he can pitch around them, he's going to be effective with if the swing and miss stuff is peaking and if he can keep runners off base otherwise. And he did all that yesterday after doing most of that in the 1-0 game. He pitched around trouble, walk trouble specifically for that whole game, and he was nails when they needed it yesterday. So we had Danny Wexelman on last week after the Giants game, had the conversation. Is it fair to expect more from Carlos Rodón? Is it still early? Is it fine to accept that he's finding his footing when they were hoping to take the spotlight off of him this year and make him a number 3 and make him one of the best number 3s in the game? Instead, the spotlight is arguably hotter without Garrett Cole. He's now a number 2, and the ace is someone we've never had on this roster before. So opening days, we're hoping to take the pressure off. Just kidding. You're the opening day starter now, right? That plan was a good plan, and that sucks that they lost it. They just never got to execute it. So we needed to see some sort of midseason turnaround. It only took 4 starts, and the last 2 were huge steps forward. So big ups to Rodón.
Huge. Both road starts. I mean, I guess the Rays one wasn't road.
That's going to be weird all year. Yeah,
weird all year. But, yeah, I mean, even though they're not the most impressive offensive opponents, those are teams that are just kind of annoying and figure out a way to get under a pitcher's skin. So, yeah, you can't devalue it in any way. One thing I did want to ask, because I am a giant bitch about runners in scoring position. Mm-hmm. They go 1 for 11 in the first 2 games, and then they go 5 for 18 yesterday, which if you look at the number, they've had 278 I'm like, didn't feel like that. Felt
No.
like they batted like 150 because of the amount of times they had. I think it was the one time they had second and third, nobody out. They went 0 for 3. Then there was another time I think they had runner on second, first and second, nobody out, and they didn't get anything. So after that, they end the series going 6-for-29 with runners in scoring position, which is still not good. But on the year, they're hitting 267 with an 801 OPS. How much of that is still Brewers' first series bullshit? Is it like I don't I know that they haven't exactly had an offensive renaissance or onslaught necessarily since then, at least on a consistent basis, but we might still be dealing with inflated numbers from that series. And runners in scoring position is just such a big thing for me because that's indicative of delivering in high leverage, delivering in the clutch, producing runs when you need to. Again, it spells out the situation for you, right? The runners are in scoring position. They need to score. We need to score runs to win. So let's get them across the plate. So I need more of a sample size here because I think that those numbers are still a little bit high after the first series of the season.
Yep. And it's the number one thing that theoretically you can't predict. Variance year over year, but it does feel like the Yankees usually go out of their way to make that a difficult situation. And even 18 opportunities yesterday, like even 18. in the win, like, come on. And they were 2 for 2, right?
Yeah.
To start, Judge.
No, the concern there is you had 18 opportunities and you scored 5 runs. That's the issue. The issue is not, oh man, you had all these opportunities and you only cashed in on this amount. It's like, no, you had 18 runners in scoring position or at least opportunities with fewer than 2 outs to get even more runs than that, and you got a fraction of that. Against, again, a bad pitcher. They had Luis Ortiz should have been out of that game much earlier. They somehow let him go to 105 pitches. Like, that's the other thing. Another concern, just for the back of our minds, for as the season goes on, is not stepping on the opposing pitcher's throat. You could have chased Luis Ortiz in that first inning. You could have fucked up the Guardians' week. You let him go, he went 4 2/3 or something like that, and still ended up getting the most runway out of his arm as possible. Like, you just can't do that. And I don't care if it's early in the season because these trends tend to repeat themselves. And this is a trend with the Yankees that has repeated itself year over year. I want them to break some of these trends early going this year because that's the only way that's going to redefine them as a contender or whatever you want to call it.
And how many of these hits with runners in scoring position are Paul Goldschmidt?
Probably all of them.
Probably all of them based on
just Judge's triple.
Test. Yeah.
Judge's triple came with a runner on first.
Just the eye test, I'm like, Goldschmidt comes through every time they need a 2-out hit with a guy on third, and everybody else is sort of not doing that. So, keep your eyes on it. You know we are. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today on a Thursday afternoon. We will be back on Monday, every Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, as long as we can swing it today. Again, we were delayed. We should be on normal time next week after a weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays. At home, thankful for the off day today, not thankful I have to think about the Knicks tonight. Would love to just think about absolutely nothing. I would love to have the Homer Simpson monkey banging cymbals in my brain tonight, but I have to think about sports. Such is life. Thank you for joining us. If you joined us today, if you're on a podcast platform, rate and review there as well. We would love to see you wherever you want to tell us what you think of the show. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
At Tommy's_take. Still have not left. You can find the both of us at the official Yanks Go Yard account at Yanks Go Yard FS. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. Plenty of content there for you. We are always producing, as you guys know. We got some cool off-day stuff for you today. We'll have stuff in the morning, weekend. You know how it goes. It's where you got to stay up to date with everything. We got you. We got you covered. Don't worry about it. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's how you're going to get alerts for when we're going live. It's a good time. Why not be involved? And then as for yesterday's runners in scoring position, Goldschmidt was 2 for 3. Austin Wells was 1 for 2 with an RBI. Ben Rice was 1 for 2 with an RBI. Dominguez was 1 for 1, and the run did not score. Cody Bellinger was thrown out at the plate. I think that was the one. Pretty cool. But you had Anthony Volpe 0 for 4, Jazz Chisholm 0 for 2. Just kind of can't happen.
Nope. And I don't want to see it again, and I don't want to talk about it again. But
No.
if it does happen, we're going to be here. We're going to write about it too. So we will see you on Monday. You can see our content in the meantime, though. Subscribe, like, rate, review, all that stuff. In the meantime, we'll be back Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern. Let's go Yankees, win some baseball games. Let's go Knicks, please. Please.
Please.
Please. I don't want to. I mean, again, though, the best case scenario, you go face the Boston Celtics next round. Like, that sucks. I don't like that. That's why the NBA sucks. Like, where's my hope? My hope
NBA
is zero.
does suck.
I'm trying to root for my team in the playoffs. Like, oh, and then the path is just, they could. Well, that's a good matchup. No, it's a terrible matchup. They're going to get swept if they advance past this round. So, do I care? Yeah, I still care. It's painful. It's bad. I'm rooting for something that will ultimately give me pain. But hopefully the Yankees help us. Hopefully the Giants help us. And let's go New York. Go New York. Go. We will see you on